In today's video, we're going to be going over some of the strongest winter fragrances that you can buy. And I don't know about you guys, but I was looking at the weather for today. It's going to get up to 50 degrees, which is very unseasonable for January. However, it's going to cool back off, and unfortunately, we still do have a good couple months of winter left here. And so there is still time. If you haven't dialed in or fully perfected your winter fragrance collection yet, you still can before it's too late. And like I said, the name of the game today is performance. And typically when it comes to winter fragrances, a lot of them will perform pretty well just due to the nature of the type of scent. Sweeter, heavier, maybe more warm, more smoky, more spicy, whatever it might be, right? Those type of scents typically do perform better. However, that's not a guarantee, but in this video, it is. All of these are incredibly strong, and we're really putting performance first here. So if that's what you want beast mode, this is gonna be it. So we're actually gonna get things kicked off here with a niche fragrance. This one is pretty overlooked in comparison to a lot of the other releases. It is Parfums de Marly Layton Exclusive. So it has a vanilla, gaiac wood, almond, and a bit of oud in here as well. So when you smell this, you still get Layton. You know, Layton is still at the core of this scent. You know, that warm, spicy, kind of apple-based, very mass-pleasing smell. It's still in here, but what they've done is they've really spiced it up. Like, actually, they added a lot more of a spice to this one. They added in a lot more of a woody presence by means of the gaiac wood and the oud. So it's heavier, it's stronger, it's richer. I've always described this as niche Layton because Layton and a few of the other more popular Parfums de Marlys have gotten criticized over the years of just not really smelling much like niche fragrances despite having a niche price coming from a niche brand, right? So just very mass-pleasing type of scents, right? But this one here, it is more of a niche focus. It shows you that they are capable of producing something that kind of fits more in the line of, you know, a truly premium scent by means of just being more unique and not quite something that blends in as much as some of the others did. You know, there is still plenty of wearability out of this one, still plenty of mass appeal too, but it is going to be more of a head turner. It's going to be one that will help you to stand out more. If the original Layton is too basic for you, if it just isn't all that exciting, but you like the idea of it, I think Layton Exclusive would be kind of what you want to look for because it builds upon that already really good DNA and makes a lot of positive improvements. The original Layton's already very strong, but Layton Exclusive is actually a little bit stronger, which is pretty crazy because, again, they're both already strong, but this one, you're not going to have any issues with performance at all. This next one, I would have never thought in a million years would be in a video like this, or I guess I should say I never thought that a modern release from this lineup would be placed in a video like this. It's the new Dolce Gabbana The One Parfum. It feels so good to say that. The new Dolce Gabbana The One Parfum has amber, tobacco, and labdanum with some patchouli in here as well. They hit it out of the park with this one. I already did a full review on this along with the one EDP 2025, like just the refresh and, you know, the changed bottle. Both of those videos are out, so if you want really more of an in-depth look, go check those out because I'm not going to spend too much time on it. But what this is essentially a very, very strong amber-focused Dolce Gabbana The One. You still get some of that tobacco. You still get a little bit of that kind of brightness off the top. In this case, they're using an orange instead of a grapefruit accord, but still the idea maintains the same. But what they've done is they've doubled down on the amber note. Really strong, heavy amber. Kind of throws it into the category of Maison Francis Kurkdjian Grand Soir, if anybody has ever smelled that. A fantastic amber scent, which is also very strong. This is going to fit somewhere along in there. But it smells so, so good, and it's a parfum concentration, and it is everything that I think we were all kind of hoping for out of a Dolce & Gabbana The One parfum release. It took the performance that was very abysmal and basically all of the others and took it to like a beast mode level, which I was hoping for but not fully expecting. After testing it, though, it came to the conclusion that yes, it is an incredibly strong scent. The Eau de Parfum 2025 is a different story. Again, I already did a video on that one. That one's probably going to be a pass for most people, but this Parfum is 1000% worth a pickup, especially when it hits discounters. You can get it below that retail price, which is a little bit high right now. I would recommend looking into it. If you can go try this one in a store near you or buy a sample somewhere, highly recommend getting your nose on it because it is amazing, but it is strong. We haven't had strong from Dolce Gabbana The One since like maybe one or two of the exclusive editions, like Mysterious Night and Luminous Night were both really strong, but besides those, pretty much nothing else in the lineup has performed anywhere close to this. All right, now this next one here is Mancera Intense Red Tobacco. So it has, of course, tobacco. We've got quite a bit of patchouli in here, and then a little bit of an oud. You know, it's that typical Mancera smelling oud, a little bit animalic, a little bit medicinal, but yet not to the point where it's overbearing. If you've smelled oud from a Mancera, it's pretty much going to smell the same across most of their fragrances, just kind of the type of accord that they use. But I've always found it to be pretty digestible. You know, even if you're not the biggest oud fan, you can kind of work your way through it. It's not that bad. But that's what this is. Strong, rich, smoky red pipe tobacco, nice woody, strong, masculine patchouli note to go alongside it. Tonka bean in here as well, which I didn't say yet, but is there to give it just a little bit of a powdery sweetness. And then again, some of that, you know, that oud kind of in the dry down and further in the base to give it a nice woody backbone or support. The name of the game with this is beast mode. I mean, no matter what way you cut it. The original EDP red tobacco was already strong, but this Intense coming in at a pure Parfum is just next level. If you want something that is truly just, I mean, almost could be described as straight up obnoxious, you know, that's the type of performance you're after, then I would look into Red Tobacco Intense. You know, it's like $90, sometimes maybe $80 on discounters for 120 ml full presentation. For niche that is this strong, that is pretty much unheard of. So you kind of know what you're after here with this. You got to be into something that's going to be a big head turner. Kind of going back on the more mass-pleasing trend here with Armani Stronger With You Absolutely. Broke out a newer bottle because mine was starting to run pretty low. That's why this one is, I mean, that's pretty much full. Worn it a couple times since opening this one up, but not a ton yet. You know, this is going to be for those of you who want to play it ultra safe. You don't want to take chances with really any of the first three that we started with, to be fair. Dolce Gabbana The One Parfum, a little bit more mass-pleasing compared to the other two that we've talked about, but still maybe a little bit of a risk with that one for some people, or at least they feel that way. Something like Stronger With You, absolutely. I mean, you're not really going to find anybody who dislikes this, at least when we're talking like normal people, you know, like fragrance connoisseurs might not like this, but that's not who we're trying to appeal to here. People who you might run into on a day-to-day basis, they smell this, they're going to think it smells great. It's got the chestnut, has a little bit of a rum accord in here, a lot of tonka beans, some vanilla as well. It's just got that chestnut gourmand, sweet, modern sweetness with a little bit of a boozy kick. And what that rum accord does is it actually makes it a little bit more mature. It just takes its DNA, which is already pretty young and playful, and gives it just the slightest bit of a mature aspect. Still very much a young scent through and through, but it helps put it in that direction a little bit, which is pretty nice. This absolutely is a Parfum concentration, so we're getting amazing performance out of this one, as you would probably expect. Most of these Stronger With Yous perform well, and this one is no exception. Let's keep it moving with Jean Paul Gaultier Le Male Elixir Absolu. This one has tonka bean, plum, cinnamon, and lavender, so you know, it kind of steps away from the original Elixir a little bit because we're not getting that honey, we're not getting that tobacco, two notes that really made the original Elixir what it was, two notes that go together really well and have been done before. You've seen it in things like Xerjoff Naxos, right, most notably, and essentially it gives it this kind of sweet, syrupy, you know, smoky heaviness as well. Just a nice blend. The notes kind of are a little bit opposite, but yet they go together well. We lose that here. Instead, what they do is they amp up the fruity accord. That plum gives it a nice fruity sweetness off the opening. Tonka bean, nice powdery smell, and then a warm spice from that cinnamon. You know, this one kind of goes a little bit more in like an ultra male direction. Now, I'm not saying that this smells like ultra male. It doesn't. There are quite a few similarities still, but when you look at it at kind of its core, it does do a similar thing. You get a lot of the cinnamon, the tonka, the vanilla, lavender, right? And then just a fruity note, a sweet fruity note at that. Instead of pear, it's plum. And so you can kind of see that that's generally the category it sits into. And could it have been that that's what they were trying to do? They remembered and you know, acknowledged the pure success that Ultra Male brought to the lineup, and they were like, let's see if we can maybe do that again. I don't know. Your guess is as good as mine, but maybe that's kind of what they were trying to model after here. Nonetheless, it is a really good scent. Some are still going to prefer Elixir. I think there are certain situations that you would want Elixir versus the Absolu. This one is going to be a little bit less mature smelling like Elixir. Again, still a playful scent, but goes further in that direction. This one's going to be a little bit more playful, a little bit more easygoing, just really nice for fall and winter casual usage. But the nice thing about this one is that it is just so strong. Because of how sweet it is, that really gives it an edge. And this one, you will not have an issue with either longevity or even projection. This stuff is going to push out for as long as it's going on your skin. All right, now let's move on to Azzaro, the most wanted parfum. It has bourbon vanilla, it's got woody notes and a nice ginger note off the top. I've always described this one as being so unique because it has this kind of bright, bubbly, almost fizzy opening, you know, this like soda fizziness off the top, which I would equate to mostly coming from that ginger note. And then you're getting a nice, sweet, slightly boozy bourbon vanilla in here. And then they're saying woody notes, you know, that could be a number of things. Probably a little bit of a smoother, kind of creamier sandalwood, and then maybe just the slightest bit of a cedar wood, but not as much. I would say mostly more so sandalwood with this one. Still kind of goes on its own direction here. You know, it ties back to the most wanted a little bit, but it, you know, both that one and this get far away from the regular wanted and wanted by night. You know, they kind of started branching away with these, and now with forever wanted Elixir, they moved away from that OG wanted smell even more, which some people might not like, given that they're flankers and they're just getting distant. Other people might not mind it if they don't really like the original wanted, you know, so it just depends on what side of that line you fall on. I've never been the biggest fan of the original wanted, but I do love wanted by night and everything after that. So, you know, for me, I could care less either way. I think as long as they put out something that smells good and is going to be good performance for the money, which all of these so far have been, then I'm going to be happy. You know, Forever Wanted Elixir is the most expensive right now, but that'll continue to drop. This one's usually going to be around $90. Not bad for what you're getting in return. Go for a Rabanne up next. We have Invictus Victory Elixir. You know, for wintertime, this is probably, I would say, probably their best option for you as far as the Invictus lineup anyway, is the Elixir. This is the one I would go for every time. It has vanilla, it has tonka bean, there's some incense in here, nice smokiness, a lot of amber too, which I don't know if they list off or not, but you definitely pick up on it. Just a nice sweet powerhouse of a scent with a little bit of a smokiness. It's sweet, but not like Invictus-y bubblegummy sweet. So that's a good thing, right? You know, the original Invictus and maybe a few of the other early on flankers still kind of had that. As they've gone down, they've kind of gotten away from that a little bit into I would say a newer type of sweetness. Instead of straight up bubblegum, it's just more of that kind of tonka bean, you know, gourmand type of sweetness. That's what we're getting out of this one. But I do really enjoy how this one smells. And to be fair, I like the original Victory as well a lot. I think it actually smells great. The original is a little bit more powdery, so they're using more of like a benzoin going along with that tonka bean, and that's kind of the difference. This one's more syrupy, it's a little bit more punchy. However, if you're going to be spending the money, personally, my opinion is that the Elixir is the one to get, because you're already most of the way there. That's the thing with these flankers, you know. None of them are cheap, even like the earlier on ones. They're not necessarily cheap. So you're already like 70, 80% of the way there in terms of cost, and it's just kind of spending that extra little bit to get up to whatever the cost is of the flanker. I think you can get this for $100 and maybe Victory is 85, 90 or something like that. So not a huge difference. And if you're only going to have to spend an extra 10, 15 or $20 to get a product that is quite a bit better, to me, that's worth it. And that's kind of how this is. It's stronger. It just has more going on. And I just think most people would probably be happier with the purchase of this. You buy this and you're good. You don't need to get anything else. Whereas if you bought regular Victory, you might be left wondering, should you have gotten Elixir? And then if you end up buying this, now you've spent the money on both. And, you know, that's not necessarily something you need to do. We're going to finish this video off with Bvlgari Man In Black Parfum. This is another flanker that I never thought was going to happen. At this point, I never thought we were going to get a stronger Dolce Gabbana The One. That was like at the bottom of my list at this point, because I think we've all been hoping for that and asking for that for 10 years. I mean, the EDP came out in 2015, right? So, and it didn't really start off strong then either, and we've been wanting that and never got anything close to it and gave up, right? I put that one at the bottom of my list. Bvlgari Man In Black, they abandoned this lineup. You know, they put out a couple really cool flankers. Man In Black Orient, which was really, really good. And I think they had a couple other like limited edition bottles and stuff, but that was about it forever. You know, and really I think they could have done more, and they came back with this Parfum out of complete nowhere, like in 2024, I think it was. And so to keep it simple with this, still smells very much like the original Man In Black EDP. It's got all of the cinnamon spices, a little bit of that rum, kind of boozy accord. It's basically just growing up spice bomb, you know, a little bit more smooth, just a little bit more mature smelling, but with better performance. You know, Man In Black EDP performed okay. Couldn't hold a candle to Spice Bomb and a lot of other scents, though. You know, it wasn't quite that strong. But this Parfum, it is significantly stronger than that EDP, which is kind of a good thing. That's kind of what we were wanting here. And I hope that maybe we could get a couple more. You know, I'm not saying go crazy and put out 1 or 2 flankers a year. You know, nothing like that. But, you know, something unique like what they did with Orient, I think would be, you know, a welcomed addition. And I'll tell you what I want to see next, now that we're at the end of the video, and I've said it before, a new Dylan Blue. You know, why not? We've had so many Sauvage fragrances. They, you know, come on, Versace, you're putting a lot of money into Eros. I get it. Dylan Blue is carrying your Versace Pour Homme lineup. Put out a Dylan Blue Parfum and that would go crazy. Alrighty guys, that's gonna do it for me. Some of the strongest winter fragrances you can buy in 2026. Again, we still have a couple months of winter left, so if you want something strong to wear to finish it out, check out any of these. You won't be disappointed. I'll put links down below in the description so you can buy these at discounted prices, because if I reference prices in this video, it would have been at discounters. Thank you guys so much for watching. Stay safe, stay healthy. We'll see you tomorrow with another one. Take care.